Hey everybody. So there's been a bunch of fallout over some things that Trump has done, or should I say hasn't done recently, with the whole Epstein files list and everything. And I just wanted to kind of point out, there's a lot of inconsistencies and what he said he would do on the campaign trail and what he has failed to do so far. Seems like he's lied to a lot of people, lied to a lot of us. So I know a lot of people, got really excited about all the mass deportations that he said was going on, and ICE stepping up raids and all this kind of stuff. Tom Homan being the border czar, and they're going to get these illegal criminals and get them kicked out of our country. But I just kind of wanted to go over a few things about that as well. First off, so here's some numbers. Number of deportations under the Trump administration as of early July 2025. So this goes by terms as well. So in his first term, 2017 to 2020, we can see what a 4-year window looks like for deportations for somebody who wants to make America great again. Trump's administration deported fewer than 932,000 individuals. In 4 years, 932,000. Current term, as of early July 2025, the Trump administration has deported approximately 253,000 immigrants. The numbers that we're looking at for the amount of illegals that have entered this country are around 15 million. In 2022, it was over 11 million. By now, in 2025, it's around 15 million. See, Biden, during his 4 years in office, 2021 to 2024, the Biden administration deported roughly 4.7 million people. Biden has literally deported more illegal immigrants than Trump did in his first term, and probably than Trump will in his second term. It just wasn't talked up by the Biden administration. Of course, it wasn't, one of their main pillars. It's just something that they did, that nobody even knew about. So these numbers are staggering. I mean, if they really were going on this mass deportation thing that has got the leftists all riled up, and all these illegal immigrant riots all over our country because it's been talked about in the media so much. 4.7 million in 4 years, that's over 1 million a year. Trump by now should have at least over 500,000 people deported by now. But it doesn't look like it's going to go that way because Trump talked about giving amnesty to workers, illegal immigrant workers, just handing out amnesty. And who knows how many, that's probably several million. That might be 10 to 11 million people that he's just going to give amnesty to, and then all these people are just going to stay in our country. Let's listen to this real quick. Listen to what Trump has to say on this.
I got myself into a little trouble because I said, I don't want to take people away from the farmers. People have worked on a farm for 14, 15 years, and they get thrown out pretty viciously, and we can't do it. We got to work with the farmers and people that have hotels and leisure properties too. We're going to work with them, and we're going to work very strong and smart, and we're going to put you in charge. We're going to make you responsible. And I think that that's going to make a lot of people happy. Now, serious radical right people, who I also happen to like a lot, they may not be quite as happy, but they'll understand, won't they? Do you think so?
Yeah, so we'll just understand. He told us that he was going to kick all the illegal immigrants out of our country, but, allowing 10, 12 million of them to stay under an amnesty bill to help hotels and farmers out, we'll understand, right? You guys will understand. Not a big deal. Just a lot more people working under the table, not paying taxes, leeching off of our government, leeching off of our tax dollars, draining the welfare system. We'll understand. So we go from that, and I know recently there was some flip-flop where they were saying, especially Tom Homan, saying there will be no amnesty for illegal immigrants. But, this right here just shows that narrative can change at any time. Just like the narrative with the no more foreign wars, no more U.S. involvement in foreign wars. Obviously, that was, not a real thing, because now we're giving money and weapons to Ukraine again. That started flowing again, and of course, as soon as Israel got in the conflict with Iran, there we were with bombers and bombs, ready to help out Israel and fight their war for them. So obviously, that wasn't true either, staying out of foreign wars. And then when asked about it, Trump simply had to say, make America great again is my slogan. I came up with it, so it means whatever I want it to mean. It's not how you do things. It's just bad for business. So now we'll look at this FBI memo that came out recently regarding the Epstein files. I want you to look at some of the things in here, and I don't know how somebody could have written this without realizing how ridiculous it sounds. So without reading the whole thing, because that would take a while, and nobody's got time for that, we'll go through some of these highlighted areas here. It says much of the material is subject to court-ordered sealing. Only a fraction of this material would have been aired publicly had Epstein gone to trial. So, I mean, that's kind of like telling us, Epstein didn't kill himself. There was a push. There was, something happened to make sure that he did not go to trial, because at least some of that information would have been available to the public. And just some of that information might have been extremely damning to some people. Now we go down here and it says, the systematic review revealed no incriminating client list. There was also no credible evidence found that Epstein blackmailed prominent individuals as part of his actions. We did not uncover evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties. I mean, like Ghislaine Maxwell? I mean, what did she do if there was no trafficking? Consistent with prior disclosures, this review confirmed that Epstein harmed over 1,000 victims. So they're trying to say that Epstein just acted alone, that he was the one, raping all these children and doing child pornography and stuff like that. 1,000 of them, apparently, 1,000. And Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison for trafficking no one to any clients or anything, apparently. So there's a lot of people outraged about that, including Dan Bongino. If you guys don't remember, or if some of you didn't see, him and Kash Patel had to come out on video recently and tell everybody that Epstein did kill himself, that it was a suicide. There's no evidence that, he was murdered in any way. And when you look at these guys in that video, you can just see the soul leaving their body, like that fire they had in their eyes when they were, getting ready to take over those positions was just gone. These guys look like a commanding officer that was getting ready to take a hill, and they had all the resources and all the manpower they needed, and victory was imminent, and then they get a call from the brass somewhere and said, nope, stand down, hang out, let the enemy get more entrenched. That's what they look like. And it looks like now that they realize that what they were being told was a lie, and that they were having to tell the American people a lie, and they were not happy about it. But I'm sure they got plenty of threats that if they didn't say what they were told to say, that, things would happen. Now we have here FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino is reportedly considering resignation after a major dispute between the Bureau and Department of Justice over the fallout from the release of the Jeffrey Epstein memo, according to sources cited by CNN. Now, I don't like CNN, but, whatever. Even in, fictional narratives, there's usually still some truth in it. So you do kind of got to look at all of these news agencies and just use your brain. You know what I mean? If it seems like it's ridiculous and it's probably not true, that's because it is ridiculous and it's not true. But you can pick out certain things that make sense, that are true, And from what I understand, Kash Patel is kind of enraged as well and possibly looking at resigning. So these guys are obviously just trying to get out of the way of the cannon, because they know sooner or later something's going to come out. Something's going to come out, and it's going to incriminate a lot of people. And they don't want to be, in front of that cannon when it goes off. So they're probably going to resign now, try to get their names away from this, as far away from this as possible. That way, when it does come to light, they won't be the ones that everyone's angry at. That's what they're hoping for anyway. So now we have Pam Bondi. I don't know if you guys remember this, but her saying that these files were on her desk. Now, remember, here's the FBI memo, and this is also parroted by the DOJ that there's no credible evidence found that Epstein blackmailed anybody. There's no client list. So
DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that. I'm reviewing JFK files, MLK files. That's all in the process of being reviewed because that was done at the directive of the president from all of these agencies.
The DOJ.
Let that sink in for a minute. This was back in February where she's saying that she had the list on her desk. She had the files on her desk. Okay, and the guy literally, the reporter asked, client list. Specifically client list, and she said, yeah, they're on my desk. So where did they go? This is my take on it. Either Trump really is on that list or his handlers are on that list. Okay, because Trump is being steered. I mean, there's no way you can go on a campaign trail and talk about mass deportations and getting all the illegals out of our country and make America great again, American workers first, and fixing our economy by, getting all these people out of here that are draining the welfare system, etc., and harming U.S. citizens. There's no way you talk about that kind of stuff, only deport 253,000 of them, and then start talking about amnesty. Because farms need cheap labor. Hotels need cheap labor. These corporations need cheap labor. And by the way, these farms that they're talking about, I know a lot of people think about, old mom and pop and, the kids running, 50 acres of cornfield or wheat field or whatever and struggling. No, that's not what these farms are. There are very few actual family-owned farms on the commercial market these days. Most of them, the family-owned farms, they just sell local at farmers markets. In their county or their district, really. They don't sell globally. The ones that sell globally and even nationally, those are corporations. Those are run by a company with a board. Okay? Those are not mom and pop farms. And those companies that own these farms, these thousands of acres, farms, they're the ones that are employing illegal immigrants. And they're doing so because they can pay them very little. They can pay them very little, a lot less than minimum wage. They don't have to give them any benefits like, medical care, or, health insurance, dental insurance, vision, any of that stuff. They don't have to give them paid days off, any of that stuff. They pay them under the table. To the U.S. government, to the state government, those people don't exist. So how are you going to enforce labor laws on a laborer that doesn't exist? You know what I mean? They can get away with that. So all these leftists talking about, oh, you can't deport them from the farm. How are we going to eat if you deport these? Who's going to pick all the produce? That's ridiculous. There was a report that just came out about the numbers as well, as far as employment and everything. It was on Sky News, but they were talking about how there are over 500,000 less immigrants taking up jobs in the United States. And joblessness for U.S. citizens has gone down, like way down. There's 147,000 new jobs that have opened up that immediately got taken up by U.S. citizens. 147,000 jobs in June. This was in June. That opened up and were immediately snatched up by U.S. citizens. Those were jobs that illegals were working. So obviously, we found out who's going to do the jobs that the illegals are doing. Obviously we found out that Americans are not beneath these jobs, that illegals were doing. It's not the jobs that Americans didn't want to do. It's just the jobs that were taken from Americans that they didn't have a chance to do. So, we're dealing with a lot of lies here. And if anybody can't see through it, I feel bad for you because you're not going to see what's coming next. You are going to be overrun with third world immigrants soon. And these people you think are on your side that are going to save you and help you, they're not. They are not. They won't even prosecute the other people who were part of the world's largest sex trafficking ring. They won't even give you information on it, like who was actually running it, who was funding it, who was using it. So to me, that can only mean one thing. Either Trump is on it or someone he deeply cares about is on it. And now he's being blackmailed because now we're getting amnesty, another amnesty bill probably coming through the pipe. We're getting, involvement in foreign wars against Israel and Ukraine. We're getting the old rhetoric back about Russia bad, So, here's send all your bills to Pam Bondi's desk. She can make them disappear faster than 6 bankruptcies. Yeah, that's true. That's absolutely true. Apparently, Pam Bondi's desk is a black hole. I don't know how she keeps anything on it. But, this all comes down to one thing. This man doesn't work for the American people. This man works for Israel. And he's going to do whatever Israel tells him to. Allow mass migration, but, make the people believe that he's doing something about it, that he's kicking them all out of the country, that he's going to restore the country to the rightful owners, the founding stock of America, while silently allowing more in and then talking about giving them all amnesty instead of kicking them all out. Telling us he was going to release the JFK files. Didn't happen because that might hurt, U.S. agencies. Well, yeah, it should. It absolutely should. We have no faith in those agencies anyway. Just go ahead and tell us all the bad things they've done. Air out that dirty laundry. And now with the Epstein files. Oh, they don't exist. Thousands of children were victims from one man, apparently. Just one. So you guys, you can let me know what you think in the comments. This is my take on it, obviously. I don't have a lot of evidence to back certain things up, but I'm just pointing out this pattern here. Pointing out some things that are, becoming a pattern. So you guys take that how you will and, make your own opinions on it. That's all I got to say. Y'all take care and be safe.